and you have to go through a shit caboodle to get everything you need.
Yeah,
and even attorneys sometimes can't get what they need.
We're going through we're going through all the FOIA officers for the Commonwealth Attorney
on June the 1st, because that's when they put in the law where they couldn't deny your FOIA, because we had all these cases from the different injustices that we were fighting from in Virginia Beach, and the common theme was whenever the cops would kill somebody, whenever you try to get the FOIA, the victim's family could never get the officer's name. They could never get any information about the warrant. They couldn't get any information about what happened. And some of this was before, you know, sophisticated body cams and stuff. People just claimed that no answers, and so it's just like their go-to would just keep saying, "Well, it's an ongoing investigation." What does that mean to a family that's trying to get some closure? Like, okay, so where's the family? So we don't get no say. So it's just like that's why people are forming these different groups. That's why we reached out to y'all. We appreciate what y'all are doing, because it's just like, it's like how. And it was disheartening to come out here on day 5 and see them breaking all that stuff down. But it's just like, y'all realize the imagery y'all are putting in the kids' head? For one, y'all had all this stuff up here. There's a kid their age missing from this neighborhood, and they y'all just shut it down, and then, you know, people don't hear nothing. Right. That's and then the kids, like I said, they came yesterday, and you know, we got the toys over here from the door. But just like, when are y'all gonna start thinking about the whole community as a whole? Like, Cody's missing, his family's hurting, the community's searching for him high and low. When are y'all gonna join the community and just say, like, yo, we're not trying to come at y'all. This is not a game of spades that we said you reneged. This is a missing 4-year-old, and so if you're wrong, you gotta write it. There ain't no keep going business as usual, and you know it'll die down. It's not dying down. No. Because if anything, we said if Cody, this is the pioneer city. If we were ones that saying that this is the last shot to go, and there's some days where we had the Super Search Center, we had 40, 50, 60 people. The second day where they shut us down from searching, when the day 2. That's when we originally formed the Camp Cody, and that day we had like 60-some people, 50-60 people, and we went all through Grandview, and it was better that way. That's when we formed the team. Like, okay, everybody don't go in the woods, so some people would knock on doors, so we started buying flyers, and then we were just like, yo, why we keep giving out this flyer that has the dad's face? The dad's not wanted, and the dad's in jail, so why is his face on this flyer? Right. So that's when we got the flyer that we had that strictly has Cody on it, and then there's a QR code on it so people can sign it for the Cody code. Can't come, cool. Can't donate, cool. You can sign this little petition to make sure this don't happen to another kid. Right.
So, for the sake of the live video, I know that we were talking about some of the numbers regarding the missing people and missing children from Virginia. Could you go over some of that again so that people understand the severity?
Well, again, like we've been telling the media, it's unfortunate for Cody, but the bigger unfortunate is that there's 400 plus missing children right now in Virginia. Over 830 active missing people's cases in Virginia. That's of adults and children. And that's only of the cases that they've actually put out a missing persons report on. Taking into account all the people that are missing that there was no report out on because they don't quote unquote meet the criteria for a missing persons report. I think that's the biggest thing that we are trying to get something looked at by the governor's office, because we're a dress on sitting in some nice office saying who gets an alert, who does not.
Where?
Right.
A.O. Rose, where?
Criteria for a missing person.
So for a missing person,
Rose, where you're commenting about
were,
bones, can you let us know where that location is?
On their own to leave. And that gets very, very hard with somebody of the age of 17 and older. So they say in America, anybody over the age of 17, actually 16 now, has the right to leave whenever they feel like it. So because they all say we have the right to leave when we want, that's why they say 24 to 48 hours. Well, just think of how far somebody could be taken away from their home in 24 to 48 hours. So that already puts them, we all have seen the show, right? For the first 48.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if they're waiting 24 to 48 hours to put everything on paper, then you're already behind the 8 ball and you've set yourself up for failure, not success.
Okay. Case in point is type it. We'll get it. So somebody's saying they found some bones. We're gonna maybe head to that over in Fox Hill. We're at Grunland.
Grunland, which is in Fox Hill. I've honestly never heard of it, but I'll look it up in the maps.
So
Grunland. So that's going out towards Grandview.
Okay.
There is a lot of dead deer carcasses out that way, and I think like three dog carcasses we came across out there.
I think the case in point, even what you were saying with the Ashanti Billy case, where she was missing, and for 3 days, 3 different agencies weren't searching for her, and the case in point was she was found, which is approximately 300 miles from where she initially went missing.
Right.
And even that was after 2 weeks. Right now, we're going into our 4th week of searching for Codi, and the fact that we feel like they're putting all their eggs in the basket of whatever is here, not exploring any other options. They're doing Codi a disservice. I mean, you can't respect to Codi, but we're not believing that. And so if somebody does have him, and so I just go over case scenarios that may be possible. Everybody has a scenario that his father may or may not have done something to his child. I plead with y'all to think about a scenario that the child really did wander off in the middle of the night. The father did what he was supposed to do after you had that oh shit moment, and he called the police to try to find his son. And in that, he's been in jail ever since then, and not even able to search for him. The media completely turned everybody against his family, had people chasing their cars down, going onto his residence, which I get. But no, if this is all information being fed to you by law enforcement and the media, and they won't report on any other possibility, then that's a disservice, and that's collusion between law enforcement and the media. You know what I'm saying? And then even still, like I said, so Casey left, where that jacket was found, came back and checked the cameras that they were asked to do. Let's go with another scenario. Say Codi wandered off, and in the neighborhood we're in, somebody snatched him. And as opposed to even looking for who may have snatched him, you've been, again, putting all your eggs in the basket of the father. We found out on the second day of searching, when we discovered that there may have been a body over there, that neighborhood is heavily infested with pedophiles. So a lot of registered sex offenders, and this came straight from the neighbors. And so with them telling us that's all things to be explored. Are we grilling these pedophiles? Are we grilling these individuals or nothing, or is just the father? Right. No. So with the interview, we have to ask law enforcement, how did you go into this interview with Mr. Bigsby? Did you go in there immediately asking them, oh, why did you kill your son? Or tell us where your son is? Or did you go in there, hey, what was the last time you seen him? Where's places you like to hang out? Or did y'all immediately jump to the conclusion that he had something to do with his son's disappearance? And if y'all did, then, he's innocent until proven guilty. And either way, let's say y'all have not done your due diligence. And if he is happen to admit to a few things because he's been 4 days, we don't know what y'all did to him, and then he wasn't able to search for his son, who's to say he didn't just say that to get y'all out of his face? And so everybody's saying, well, he admitted. If there's no evidence, I mean, there's a lot of things you admit to when your stomach is rumbling and you're trying to get to your son, and there's hot lights and tight situations, and you're being denied your lawyer, you're being denied your family. Who's going to stay mentally sane in that? Who's going to be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just hang around here while my 4-year-old's missing and just wait for you guys to give me a word? No, like nobody, no human that has a child is going to be that.
Can I interject? There was another situation that you guys were mentioning about the young man who was found 9 days after he had a crisis and jumped out of the car.
No, almost 10 weeks.
I'm sorry, almost 10 weeks, not days, sorry. But could you elaborate on that? Because I felt like when you guys were talking about it that my mind was like blown just to think that you guys had to organize efforts to help with searching for the young man, but the police kind of blocked you guys out of that effort.
What happened was the family approached us. They did not know exactly what we did for a mission, but they asked us if we would get involved because other than the family, nobody was out searching a couple weeks. So we searched other ground, thinking, okay, even though we wanted that piece, let's still go search something because he could just as easily been on this other piece of ground. And finally, when they let us have the piece of ground we wanted initially, an hour and a half after we were into that search, we found him. But he had been there probably and deceased probably within a day or two after he got out of the car. So he was completely skeletal.
Wow.
So after so much time, what most people don't realize is we all liquefy.
Yeah.
Body mass liquefies, you go back into the environment, and that includes your joints.
Right.
So the only thing left behind is your bone.
Skeleton.
Right.
Well, bone separates when you take the joints away, so you're not going to find that individual intact. And this individual was not intact. He was actually in 3 separate pieces when we found him.
And could you also repeat, I think you were talking about the age, as far as being live, I want these young ladies to watch out for themselves as far as their children, as far as the ages.
So what we were told is right now there's 5 states that are really, really big on trafficking children. And the main age they're looking for is 4 and 5-year-old black males, because they don't have a lot of definition. They blend in with another 4 or 5-year-old. And it's not because they're solely looking for black children, but if you have a white child, one could have blonde hair, one could have brown hair, you know, vice versa, blue eyes, green eyes. There's a lot more definition in a child that young in the white community, not so much in the black community.
A lot of black children look very universal, brown hair, all brown eyes.
So, and the reason they're looking for these children is, one, they want them, the drug population wants to use them as a mule. So what they do is they send them off to Mexico. They basically load the child up with drugs as much as they can put into their bodies, and they ship them around the world. And when the child is then picked up at an airport, the child is destroyed and the drugs are harvested. And those children right now are ranging in value of anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000.
And that's direct information from U.S. Marshals. Like,
that came
validated.
actually from a different agency, but
Gotcha.
It was information we did receive from some people in the government.
And
Gotcha.
just here locally, do you have a scope or number as far as how many are missing? Like, if we could just say Hampton, since we're in Hampton right now, and then are we able to we can speak on? There's another. There's a 14-year-old young man that's also missing. That's went missing around the same time. When was it? January 22nd or 19th?
January 19th is when
19th?
they said he was last seen, and his name is Joshua Fernandez.
And he's from Hampton?
He went missing in Hampton, and that is the only information that has been provided. And actually, it was News Channel 3, because if you all remember back to like November last year, Margaret, one of their reporters, started a segment that was "Have You Seen Me?" And it was all about missing Virginian people from out of Hampton Roads. And that happened right after we found the first gentleman, and she spoke with us. She's actually working with one of our team about a much broader look at missing people and the assets that are available to families that have missing people, right? So let's change the scenario a little bit. Let's say Corey's still at home and his 4-year-old's still missing and they don't suspect him of anything. Who does he turn to ask him, or to ask them to help him search for his 4-year-old, when he knows right up front, law enforcement, because of them being understaffed, they have a lot of responsibilities, and unfortunately they can't spend all their time looking for an individual. But they should be able to give the families some kind of information on vetted organizations that can help them try and locate their family member. They should not be left in the dark saying you're on your own, right? This is America that I last checked. We all live under one flag, under one creator, created all of us, and there was no mistakes by the creator. So therefore, we should all come together to help anybody in need of trying to find somebody that they're missing, right? Nobody should be left to just wither away out here in this environment, and after so much time goes by, it's like they were never here.
Yeah.
It just, you can't just chop it up, and that's our thing. Just like that's why I just keep harping on it. Just like it seems like, oh well, we searched for 5 days, and we're just gonna go to forensics. So it's like,
I keep telling the media. So the media's been seeking us out almost on a daily basis, right? And the only reason I actually give them an interview is because I tell them all, if it keeps Cody in the forefront of the media on every segment, then I will do 100 interviews a day if it keeps Cody in the environment. Because we all have talked to people, and still people are out there that do not know of a missing Codi Bigsby, right? I don't know how that's possible, but I know a lot of people turn their TVs off over the last 4 or 5 years because they don't care for what's going on within our country. I get that. But how do you not drive around in Hampton Roads and not have heard about this young boy missing?
Yeah.
Right? But I keep telling the media, Codi actually gave us the best present we could have gotten. Right? We all learned that there's far more good in this environment than there is bad. And there are more people willing to come together for the good of all of us than to be so selfish that we sit at home and go, I'm glad it's not me. Right?
Somebody else will serve.
To me and to my team, we don't see color, we don't see religion, we don't see any defining piece about any of us other than we are all brothers and sisters of one creator. And like I said, that creator made no mistakes. And the last I checked, he didn't give me the right to put any kind of doubt or anything against anybody else. It's not my job to judge somebody. It's just my job to do what the creator asked me to do every day. And that's all I can strive to do. Is do my best today, and hopefully I make it right.
You know, and speaking on that, you know, the unfortunate part about it with the media is they're refusing to cover us. So they keep chasing you down because they're refusing to interview us. Like, even when we were out here with our camp, they were literally trying to fabricate a story by trying to get the people who weren't going into the woods to go into the woods. Like, hey, can you show us where you searched in the woods? They'd be like, oh, Jafari can show you because they've been hitting at the woods thing. Oh, can you just show us? Like, well, we manned the tent. And then they'll take information that I say and then let the reporters say it. But this is all because they say that we're making it about us. It's like, no, just like you said, we're trying to make it in the forefront. And we've been active for 5.5 years. We don't just do police brutality. This is, I believe, our, again, 7th or 5th search. We did Shanti Billy. We searched for a 14-year-old in Newport News. The police were going to the wrong house. We ended up finding her. She was pregnant. It's a pervert. He's in jail now. The police were knocking on the wrong door for 2 weeks. And just one day after we went over there, we found, and then another was a mental, a case where the lady was mentally disturbed and she was missing, and kind of like you said, where if she didn't want to come home, we found that out. But the Newport News police cooperated when we at least tried to ask them to get information. We've literally been getting ignored by the chief now for as long as we've been out here. Before that, it was no problem in getting them on the phone. It was no problem with that. And even the last text I sent them on February 1st was, let's show the world what unity really looks like. Didn't get a response back. And then so now it's just like they're chasing you all around. And so what we're calling is not nothing against you, is they're whitewashing the media. Because they only send white reporters. They're only going to interview you. It's going to make it seem like the black community has not been sitting out here every single day. But Camp Codi's not just black. Camp Codi is black, white, Asian, kids, you know, the community.
Young, old, disabled, abled.
For us, it hasn't just been white reporters. So Casey with 13 Now, she's usually out here. Like Casey starts her morning, I think, at 4 o'clock, and I think it ends at like 10:30
Millie, we're
in the morning,
aware.
12 o'clock. Casey pretty much hits me up almost every day. If not every day, then it's every other day. And I told her this. Initially, after everything broke down, the only vehicle you still saw here was her camera guy. He's an older gentleman with glasses, shorter guy.
I think I need to talk about it. They're pretty nice.
And she was out here. Those were the only people that kept this thing on TV for that whole second week. It was like, okay, so what? This 4-year-old is just vanished and everybody gave up on him.
That's because the police didn't have anything to feed them as far as attacking the father, and so now they're digging and getting these mysterious neighbors that mysteriously said something. But then even still, with Andy Fox legit said out here when we put together that community event for the kids of this neighborhood Saturday.
Millie, we're aware.
The reason that didn't happen is because the city shut us down. So I'm walking over here from the rental office to come and leave.
We also have the address. Thank you all.
Friday I had on, minimum clothes. And as I'm walking right there, Andy Fox said to me, hey, don't get in my shot.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I wasn't even coming over here for you. I didn't even know y'all was over here. I was walking over from the rental office because I just was going over there to conduct business. It's like, oh, well, just so you know, I don't need you in my shot. So that's when I started recording live. He starts calling me all these names. It's like, y'all, this is y'all show. So explain to us what the news does then. Explain to us what the news is doing when they're out here. Y'all are getting paid to be out here to tell a story. We are out here because we're trying to find somebody and tell the story. And cover all aspects. I'm saying y'all search, we specialize in a little bit of both. We can multitask.
That's right.
We don't have to just be like, oh, y'all just focus on that.
Thank you, Adina.
And we're just like, we do. We search all day, and then we do what we need to do after 6 p.m. when the sun went down to see what was done or not done. And that's called accountability. Y'all make it seem like, oh, this is the Codi case. We can only focus on this. We can't focus on anything else. Our focus has to be this. And we're not, you know what I'm saying, we're the same way. And then, in all honesty, the reason I became an activist, in 2016, my 14-year-old cousin committed suicide due to bullying. And so we wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. When we had her visual, the kids said we felt like we're getting ignored. And us going out there with a microphone and playing music, they said, we feel like y'all gave us a voice. That touched my heart. My cousin, who Deja was his daughter, he was fine until Andy Fox did an interview asking questions that you know you're going to get somebody who just lost their 14-year-old
Thank you for that
suicide,
information, TT.
and hit his triggers and made him break down on camera. And from that day on, my cousin said, I'm not talking to anybody else. Can you please handle this for me? And I did. So I handled the event planning because I was event planner before that. Fielded any questions from the media or whatever because like they did it on purpose. And so him saying that, disrespecting me like that, and saying it's like I wasn't even coming out here. This is your shop. This is not your property. This is not Wavy Studios. So it's like, what are they really doing? It's like, are they only going off of law enforcement data? Do they not want the actual heart of the community? And so we asked them, do y'all feel like there's a disconnect between law enforcement, the city officials, and the community? They said no. I was like, okay, so how come we haven't seen the mayor not once? How come we haven't seen any city council members not once? And they said it's because there would be a distraction.
A distraction of what?
What are you distracted by? Approaching the people that have elected you. Y'all don't mind, knocking on people's doors, filling our TVs with your ads when it's time to get elected. But then a 4-year-old goes missing, and y'all are, saying that that's gonna be a distraction. So,
well, can you speak to a certain?
Thing we can all agree on, right? Is government will never be the answer.
Yeah.
Government will never be the answer. It's going to take the people that keep this country going every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I keep going back to reference that if people realize what has been handed us through a negative is a very huge positive. And eventually, if Codi is in our environment, one of us will come across him. It may be good, it may be bad, but at the end of the day, it's still all good. We get to put that little boy to rest and let him go home to be with God and not be out here in the environment. But at the end of the day, we can all say, you know what? One thing we did find out was it doesn't matter what side of the jurisdiction of 757 you come from. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter what God you pray to. What it matters is we are all willing to come out here and have each other's back and do what we got to do to bring peace to everybody.
Yeah. So I think that some people don't really understand specifically why Black Lives Matter 757 is involved with searching right now. So that's one topic to speak on. And I think something else that people don't realize is that we're trying to bring you guys up to speed with just how there is that, what you spoke on, disconnect from law enforcement, city officials, and the citizens, which we have all agreed on. I feel like people don't really understand that as an organization, you two are coming together. There are other people that feel the same way. So in what ways is there that disconnect, and how can you guys bring some of the citizens up to speed on like what that disconnect looks like and how we can kind of try to bridge that gap as two passionate, community members with organizations? So for one, why is Black Lives Matter 757 a part of this search effort? Because I feel like a lot of people have it in their mind that this isn't a Black Lives Matter issue, quote unquote, as if that's a thing. But can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, Black Lives Matter 757 is what we're best known as, but we actually are BLM757, and that stands for Be Like Malcolm, Be Like Martin. Change may take 7 days, 5 years, or 7 centuries, but change will come. We were originally formulated in 2016 out of Hampton, Virginia, and actually 5 different cities in the 757. And in that journey, we have been taking on a lot of different injustices and a lot of different things that are going on. And we have been on the forefront of a lot of different issues. We just so happen to have to come out with this one where, with any other case, no matter what it's called, it may be missing person, maybe police brutality, whatever, we are being disproportionately given resources when it comes to situations like this missing child. And at first, we initially came out to put boots on the ground and make sure everything was everything. But the longer we stayed out there, the more things started to unravel. We have 5.5 years of experience of advocacy here in the local area, and we've even expanded out to Texas and New York this year, and we've adopted a village in West Africa, in Togo, West Africa. And so the reason why this is a BLM757 issue is because we were formed to take care of home. Every time you see stuff go on the news or these national crises, everybody will go to Minneapolis, everybody will go to DC. We never have a cavalry on a horseback come into the 757 to save us. So we were literally just placed here to make sure we take care of at-home issues. Yes, there's a lot going on right now. People are like, why haven't y'all shared this? Do you see what's going on in Minneapolis? I know that Codi Bigsby is missing from Hampton, Virginia, where I grew up at. That's what I do know. And then I know there's a lot of different missing kids missing in Hampton, Virginia, which I do know. I have 2 children, and I know they have to come up in this area. So if something were to happen to them, is this the law enforcement that I would have to depend on to find them? And if that's the case, and I'm glad for individuals like Water Inc., individuals for the New Black Panthers, individuals from citizens, I mean, we're all citizens, just anybody who's came out, the DJs who made Saturday good, the mental health advocates, the after-school people. As you said, this really brought the community together, where we're going to fuss and fight on political issues. We're going to fuss and fight over red and blue. We're going to fuss and fight over all this stuff. And the reason, he said he brought us all together is the kids. I always say, put yourself in the kids' mentality. If the kids at a sandbox, another kids come to the sandbox, a kid got a shovel, other kid got a bucket, they're going to play. It don't matter if his daddy's black and voted for Trump, his daddy's black, voted for Obama, Hillary. It doesn't matter. The kids don't see none of that. And if they see adults going at it, you know what they're going to think is okay? It's going to be okay for them to go at it. It can't put together whatever and sit down and realize that, I feel like they should eliminate all the parties. I feel like it should be just straight for the people. Why? Because I'm thinking that they get more of a kick out and say, oh, we're a red state, oh, we're a blue state. Oh, what are the people doing? Are the people hungry? Are people missing? Is everything okay? Or y'all are doing this to lay claim to a political party? And there's no party about missing people. There's no party about needing resources. There's no party about homeless people. There's no, and we also do when people get shot. So we've gone to little girls' funerals. They've been shot dead. You know what I'm saying? We've gone to little kids' funeral. We went to a double suicide funeral where they couldn't raise $5,000 to cremate it. The little girl was getting bullied at her school. She was only 13 years old. She came home and committed suicide, and her mother saw her dead on her bed, and her mother then committed suicide too. And so that we found out that then the media told us they couldn't cover suicide after they had just covered my cousin's suicide because they said it made other people want to commit suicide. So our thing is we want to always do change. We're innovative activists where every day it may be different. That's why you see, we're not all over the place. Every day we get new information and we move on that new information. We don't go, insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. But if you're going out here, and like I said, the longer you're out here, the more you see. And the more you see, the more disappointed you get in what's really going on. And the people who get paid to sit in these offices and have these office parties and these galas and, wave and shake their hands and pop up at the biggest church during election season. But when you actually need them, they're not out here. We're not making this about them, but what we are saying is we are dissatisfied with the level of respect that Mr. Codi Bigsby is getting in his search with his 4-year-old. So that's in a nutshell. But we are out here because we care about our community. We don't care, what your color will help whoever. Like I said, BLM757 is universal. You know what I'm saying? So we're willing to help the community however. So I hope that answers that's why we're part of it.
Absolutely. Perfect answer.
Just to let you know, I only got a couple minutes.
Okay, yeah, and the other question was just about the disconnect between the citizens and law enforcement and local officials, and through, I guess, the experience of looking for Codi, how do you feel that disconnect, that disconnect, how do you feel that can be bridged?
Well, one, people need to start living their lives with eyes wide open and not walk around here with blinders on, because your life doesn't just revolve around the 20 by 20 you live in. We all live in a community where America always prided itself on the fact that we lived in a community, wherever your community was. People used to wave at you when you drove down the street. People used to stop for funerals and take their hat off and let the funeral go by. Our world has become a drive-through world, and everybody is only looking at it from their perspective. First thing is, we all have to come together and say we are all one family, which we are. That's one. Two, people need to get reconnected with what's going on in their environment, because if they want to stay under that shell or under that rock, then they will never ever get this country back on the track it used to be on. Whether that was good or bad, we can correct all the negatives, by doing the positive things going forward, but you have to come out of that box, that shell, and you have to start getting back into your environment. The third thing is we have to let all those people that are either elected officials or appointed officials know that you report to us, we don't report to you, right? You work for me, I don't work for you. And we're telling you right now, we're telling you this is not acceptable. The way we're doing business right now when it comes to missing persons is not acceptable. We want you to make a change. We want those changes to be, you should not have to meet 4 criteria for an Amber Alert. You should not have to wait 24 to 48 hours for a missing persons alert when you know your family member, this is not normal for them to not come home. Silver alerts on Alzheimer's and dementia folks. Why after 90 days of inactivity does the silver alert get canceled and cannot be reconstituted or put back out as an alert? Those things should not happen. In my opinion, if somebody is missing, the whole country should know somebody is missing, because you never know who's going to see who. Let's go back to that little girl, I think it was a month or so ago. Somewhere along the way, she learned what the international sign was for distress. And luckily, the guy or the woman that was behind them in the car also knew what the sign was for international distress and made the phone call and said, there is a child in the car in front of me, and she just showed me the sign of being in distress. That girl was gone. All is well. She was kidnapped. She's going to have to live with that for the rest of her life. More than likely, that's going to be in her mind forever. But how many children go missing every day, and after, 3 or 4 days, they're being no longer able to be found, and we just write them off like they were never here.
Can you share us that sign?
To be honest with you, I still don't know what this
There's one
sign
that's
is.
like this. There's all sorts
yeah,
of
the
different
thumb tucked
ones.
in and, yeah.
So yeah, if you guys
It was
ever
a
see
piece
this,
put out, I
that
think,
means
by,
that somebody is
60
in
Minutes.
distress.
And she did like this, and the lady saw it, and she knew what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, for Water Team Inc., the way we look at it is the longer we stay in a fight, and that's what this team was built on. We all have been in service. We served our country. We can't be in that uniform anymore, so we took up a new uniform. And we still want to be in service to our country. Not to a race, not to a political fashion, not to anybody's belief system, but to the country as a whole. Right? We have 4 borders. And those 4 borders, everybody that's within inside those borders are all family. Right? They're all my family. At least that's the way I look at it. And some people told me I get too emotionally involved in these cases. Well, that's the only way I know how to do this. Because if I didn't let Cody into my heart, then what am I doing out here? You know, how do I look for somebody I don't care about? I would have been just like the rest of those folks, and I would have went home and said, okay, I did my part. I couldn't find them. It's over. I can't do that. I myself cannot do that. And I've instilled that in our team, that we cannot just walk away. It may take months, it may take years, and the searches might go from every day to every other day or every weekend. But the fact of the matter is, we will not give up on any of these people, because I wouldn't want somebody to give up on me.
That's the piece. That's it. That's why we changed our name. Change may take 7 days, 5 years, or 7 centuries, but change will come.
So what I want to do before I get ready to leave is I want to say I am very much appreciative of you and your organization, because all of us out here together, we will find this one. And I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that. Every
Show
time
'em
there's
what
somebody
unity
missing, I
looks
expect
like.
to see you out there with
I got your number. I'm saying we're keeping this, y'all. I didn't bring over here.
This
And
was a
thank y'all
great
for what you do.
conversation.
Thank you all so much. Don't let that ever get you down. Don't ever let it get you down.
It was just discouraging to know that. No problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely, but I'm glad I know.
We got Cody pins.
Thank you all so much. The people wear these with pride. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, one of the ladies
Awesome.
from Camp Cody, she brings them, so I mean, she brings them all the time, and she's been sweet. She's been passing them out to everybody to raise awareness.
Outstanding. Well, I'll tell you what, y'all gonna be out here on Saturday?
Yeah.
When I get done with our search, I'll bring you all over some Water Team Inc. t-shirts. some wristbands.
Oh, definitely.
Because one thing I know is we picked up almost 700 new followers on our Facebook page. I am not on Facebook. My organization does not allow me to be on Facebook. Because much like you, my brother, I am a very outspoken individual, and sometimes my mouth runs quicker than my brain. Huh?
You a Gemini?
I am a Leo, or
Fire sign.
sorry, Libra.
Oh, Libra.
I am under the harvest moon, baby.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
I'm a fall baby. But one thing I've learned in life is if you hold your tongue in your mouth, it will get you nowhere. If people know where you stand, they'll either hate you, respect you, or love you.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't care what people think of me. I really don't. I have not for the 53 years I've been on this earth. What I can't deal with myself is failure. And failure for me is not doing anything. So I will be out here as long as I'm needed. And as long as God gives me the power to pick these two wheels up every morning off the bed, get my gear on, and I'm out there.
Yes. It's resounding words. We appreciate it.
Well, the way I see it is most people that are out here in need are low to no income families. Society has written them off because they deem them no asset to America.
Facts.
And my thought is everybody's an asset to America. Everybody. I don't care how they got here. I don't care why they're here. All I know is they decided to make this their home. And if this is their home, then they're my neighbor. They're my family. And I'll protect every one of them. Or I'll lay my life down trying to do it.
We appreciate it.
Amazing.
Same thing with Codi.
Everybody is an asset
I will give
in
my
America.
life for his. We go out with the boats to get people in floodwaters. I will absolutely lay my life down for another. I took that oath when I joined the military, and I took that oath for life. So until God calls me home, that's what he asked me to do. So,
Amen.
good luck to y'all. Sometime, today's what, Tuesday? Are we in Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
Wednesday. I thought today was Wednesday.
Okay.
Oh.
So looks like we got possibly a rainy day tomorrow, if not definitely Thursday.
Yeah.
Hit me up or text me, and we'll try and do this where you and I can go over what we've covered, what we've accomplished. Like I had a lady call me, ask me about a church, and I said, look, ma'am, I can honestly tell you everywhere our team's been, I feel comfortable in saying he is not there. I have that much belief in my team and what we do that I could comfortably say he is not in any of the ground we've covered. Tomorrow we're going to Norfolk. Only because some of the residents asked us to come there and check a body of water out there by where they used to live.
We may check Newport News tomorrow, but then tomorrow we definitely at City Council for the City Council meeting.
Okay.
So we're doing the same. We know we're definitely on for Saturday because we had people coming from out of town that had been, and like I said, there were people that were hitting us up. Like after we said we were going to end search after the 10th day, like, oh my God, why are you in after the 10th day? And now here we are on day 22, and those same people. I thought you were. But it's fine. So we
Don't
appreciate
stop
people that come
searching.
out.
Don't
We
stop
want to
searching.
spread that. And we thank you all. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Appreciate you,
I
brother.
do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
What are resources on? I mean, has anybody checked possibly if he was trafficked? I mean, how is that? Is that something you can check?
What I can tell you is I got a little bit of intelligence over the weekend that another team, a government team, has been put on this case.
Okay.
I won't tell you what team, but all I will tell you is they are not in Virginia.